Hey, what's up, YouTube? Technology. Now, I've done stuff in the past for technology, but I'm going to make a series called Techy Talk because I do deal with technology quite a bit. From gaming devices to tablets, cell phones, and microphones, lighting gear, photography gear, things like that. So I've got a lot of extensive knowledge in this stuff, and I use it all the time. So I figured there's so many tech channels out there, but I want to do it from my personal point of view, and maybe some of you may enjoy it, maybe some of you may learn something from it, and that's my whole concept here. So I'm starting a series called Techy Talk, and we're going to do it that way, and talk to you about all that stuff I just mentioned. So for the first episode, though, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gaming devices and cell phones, tablets, and microphones. Okay, so first off, we're going to start with gaming devices. And the reason why is because every one of us knows that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One was revealed and shown off, not only at E3, but prior to. And no, I'm not doing it because it has sports, ESPN, Call of Duty, and sports. It's because I'm talking about the Xbox One and the PS4 for their gaming options. So forget about the reveal of the Xbox One. We're not going to even talk about that because that was a joke. We're gonna talk about the gaming aspect of it because that's what they're for. So now I'm gonna say I'm a little biased because I'm not a huge Sony fan. I never have been. I've never in my entire life owned a Sony product I've liked. I've gotten Sony products from other people. Like I have a mini disc player that somebody gave me. I don't use it, but it's nostalgia because you can't get them anymore, so that's why I kept it. I guess it was back in 2001. 2000, whatever it was. You could buy them. Somebody, a family member of mine gave it to me. I'm like, oh, sure, I'll take it. They're great for recording, like if you're doing recording for music, and I'm a musician, so if you hook it up to a microphone, not a USB mic, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but a standard analog mic, you can actually use it to record on these mini discs. They were actually somewhat big in the early 2000s, I'm guessing, because there were actually recording artists that put them on mini discs. And then they were actually big in Japan and in the Asian culture. They weren't really big here. They didn't take off well here. But anyways, regardless of that, everything else Sony I've ever owned has just been piles of shit. I've never had any good Sony products that have lasted me a while. And so I'm kind of biased versus the PS4. Plus, the PSN is not really... It's kind of blah. Microsoft has much better infrastructure when it comes to their online service. But, I mean, that's really where I'm coming from. So please, I mean, I'm not knocking the PlayStation. I'm just not a fan of Sony. Now, speaking of Microsoft, the Xbox One was revealed to have DRM. And the gamers revolted, and the DRM was removed. So we're just going to completely forget about that right now and not mention it because it's been thrown all over the place for the past 3 or 4 weeks. But the capabilities of the two machines, in regards to hardware-wise, is the same. I mean, DDR3 versus DDR5, not a huge difference. You're not going to see much of one. The average gamer won't even notice. The Xbox One will have obviously a much better infrastructure when it comes to online service. Not really too happy about the whole always being on thing, but I don't think that's actually true anymore. You only have to... Actually, that isn't true. They brought out a statement that said, I was looking at my notes here for a sec, and they brought out a statement that said that, one second. No, I'm not endorsed by Pepsi. I drink enough of it, though. I should be. Anyways, they also bring out a statement that said that you only have to initially have it online when you do the first setup, and you don't have to anymore. Now, the weird thing was, and everybody was spoofing on this, with the Xbox One and the whole, Connect unit, 2001: A Space Odyssey had this thing called HAL, H-A-L. Look it up on YouTube, it's funny. And it was like the computer that ran the ship. And the last thing I want is my Xbox turning red, but the little camera turning red and be like, Christian, I'm sorry, I cannot allow you to do that. If the Xbox starts talking back to me, I'm either going insane or I'm about to die. Really, that's very simple. So, all kidding aside, it's a little creepy if that thing was on all the time because it's watching you. And this whole thing with the NSA, everybody's like, oh my god, NSA. No, I mean, we've known about this for years, but it finally was brought into light. I'm not going to get into that. You want to look up that stuff, that's fine. That's another video for another day. But I don't want my Xbox watching me all the time. Nobody else does. So, minus that part, being on all the time, which has been reverted, same as the DRM has been reverted. Technical-wise, the two machines are the same. It's kind of which one you like more when it comes to game platform. The games on the Xbox One look amazing. The games on the PS4 look amazing. I'm just not a fan of the PlayStation Network. So, I've already pre-ordered my Xbox One for day one, and I'm going to take the day off on that day and enjoy it. So, but along with Xbox and PlayStation, a lot of people like to do recordings. Now, the Xbox One's going to allow you to do that when it comes out, but you can actually still hook up another device to it too and do your own editing and recording. I've done editing and recording with a Hauppauge HD PVR, and that was the old 1212 unit. Yeah, it was a 1212, and there was something definitely wrong with it. It wouldn't record the way I wanted it to. It was goofy. The software was kind of so. I actually went and I got the HD PVR2, which is the gaming edition. It has a button on the top that will let you start recording and stop recording. It also turns green. Ooh. But it's a great little device. If you want to do gameplays or walkthroughs, you can do this not only on your PlayStation or on your Xbox. You can hook it up to a HDMI computer, and you can run it through there too, which is kind of cool too. So let's say you want to do walkthroughs of, let's say, World of Warcraft, and you want to show your guild off, downing whoever, Lei Shin, or one of those other guys. You can do that. I know it's not really good to drink in your videos, but this is a relaxed thing. Relax. Anyways, if you want to, this is the PVR2. It's HDMI in and out, HDMI pass-through, so there's no lag between the gameplay. That was another issue with that unit, with the 1212. There was some lag between it because you're using component video versus HDMI. And most TVs run HDMI now anyways. Now, if you don't know what HDMI is, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, it's video and audio put into one connection versus having to go through 50 different connections. It's not cool, it sucks, I hate it, I don't like doing that. One is better than 5. Very simple. Most of the time, bigger numbers are better, but in this case, it's not. So, if you're looking for a PVR, and you want to do something cool, make gameplays like I did with the Game of Thrones, speaking of that, you won't see me do the rest because that game was so daunting and not fun to play. So you won't be seeing me doing that anymore. One other thing you'll need to do, if you buy it, they do have a program that Hauppauge came out with that allows you to record your voice, which is like what you're talking into your mic, and the game voice in your chat, and the in-game chat together. It's 2 separate files, but it's in one program where it puts it all together. So it makes life a lot easier. So instead of having to go through a sound or audiology and record your voice and then try to sync it up. This does it automatically for you, which is nice. You still have to use an external mic, and I've used external mics before. I own a CO1U, which is a mono mic, and this is not. This is a new Snowball. It's the Chrome Edition because the Chrome Edition is so sexy. It looks like a 1920s mic in a way. I like it. It looks really cool. It's got a cute little stand. So, I mean, I suggest getting the Snowball, the Yeti. I've never used the Yeti, so I don't know what the Yeti is like. But the Snowball, from what I've messed around with it, sounds really good. You can use it for Skype calls. You can use it in conjunction with a Logitech webcam. I use a C920 Logitech webcam for my Skype calls, and I use this for voice. It sounds really good. If you can have that super sexy, silky voice. I mean, it's not going to be Morgan Freeman's voice, but I mean, you can get it close, I guess. But along with that stuff, it's a great mic. I suggest going with that particular unit. I'm going to do a full review on it at some point. and let you guys know. Now, tablets and cell phones. Now, a lot of you have seen a lot of my videos where I've talked about iPads and iPhones. I've owned all the iPhones up until now. I wanted to try something different, not because I have a problem with the iPhone or iOS. It's because I wanted to try Android. I have an Android Galaxy S4 now, and I love this phone, but it's not built the greatest, so I put an OtterBox on it. And the video quality on here is great. The battery life is amazing. The camera's really good. I really like this phone, and I recommend if you're looking to upgrade to an Android device, go with this. Otherwise, go with an iPhone 5 or 4S. You're not going to go wrong either way. They're both very capable phones. One does things that the other one can't do, and it's vice versa. Same thing when it comes to tablets. Because I have so many apps, I do still have an iPad. I have an iPad mini, an LTE version iPad mini. And I like Apple stuff because there's a lot of things on here I can't do on the Android. Plus I use this for my work, and I have everything on here. I have... Stop turning on and off, damn you. You gonna stop? Yeah, you are. I have everything on there for my work, and I take care of that thing with me everywhere. That's why it's LTE. When it comes to tablets, it's personal preference. Android versus iOS. I own both. I also have a Nexus 7, which is right here. So I've used Android before, but I've never used an Android phone. Android's a lot more customizable versus iOS, which is mainly a walled garden, which what you see is what you get. Whereas Android, you can customize it a lot more than what you could do with iOS. And if you want to customize your stuff, that's the best way to go versus just letting Apple tell you how it's going to be, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That's just the way Apple is. They want it to be simplicity at its best, and that's what it is. It's simplicity at its best. I've owned an iPhone 5. I've owned every iPhone up until then, and I just switched to a Galaxy S4. Either way you look at it, you're not going to go wrong. They're both good phones. I like the Galaxy S4. I wouldn't trade it for an iPhone 5 again. I like the screen size. I'm not a fan of the dinky little screen on the iPhone. And has a lot more features that I like. Plus the upgradable storage, the battery life is better. There's just some things I like about it versus the iPhone 5. iPhone 5 is a great phone if you want something that's easy to use, and it's a good quality phone and good quality camera. Really, that's the bottom line. When it comes to anything else, it's your personal preference. Well, that's it really for now. I can't think of anything else I can talk about in this video. I've talked about some things that kind of throwing things out there. This is the first Techy talk, and we'll be making these like every week. So we'll do it that way and see how things go, because there's so much technology news out there. It's overwhelming, and most people don't look at technology news. They're too busy watching the Hawks win the Stanley Cup. I'm from Chicago, so I had to mention that. I'm not a sports fan. I'm not at all, but it's kind of cool, I guess. They were touching and feeling that cup all night long. I don't know what was going on. It's weird. Whatever. I'm not a sports guy. I'm a technology guy and a gamer, and a musician. So I just had to mention that anyways. But before I say my last line, I'm going to throw a couple more shout-outs. I'm going to shout out to Taver, Chris, Kyle, and then for the new guys, that would be Nick, Devin, and we can't forget Jeremy. So, as I say at the end of every one of my videos, stay safe online in the real world. I will see you, actually I won't see you, you will see me in the next video.